Hey guys, today we're going to do long division and synthetic division. And to start off with long division, I'm going to use a somewhat easy example first for people who have no idea what's going on. But if you're already familiar with it, please skip ahead to the second example. So the first thing you need to do in long division is a kind of trial and error method where you substitute in random numbers in the place of x. And if you get 0, it is in fact a factor of x. So I've done this example before, and I know that if I use 1 in the place of x, I'll get 0. So x is equal to 1. And now we need it in the form equal to 0. So I can write that by putting this 1 or taking the 1 to the other side. And I'll be left with x minus 1 is equal to 0. And I want it in that form. So this equation will be used in long division. But just to clarify, if something else had been a factor, let's say 2 had been a factor, all you would write out, you don't have to show the failed examples in your exam. You just have to show one factor that worked out. Sorry, that would be a 2 in this case. Just show one that worked out. Is equal to 0, but it has to be equal to 0. It has to satisfy the equation. And then you would, of course, have x minus 2 equal to 0. So you would use x minus 2 in long division. But for this example, we're just going to use x minus 1. Because we worked out that 1 is a factor of the equation. So x minus 1. Write out this whole thing. An important thing to remember about long division is everything has to stay in its place or the equation will be wrong. Your answer will be wrong. So where it says x cubed, don't put anything, like even on top or at the bottom. At no point should anything that's not an x cubed be in that place. Same with x squared and x to the power of 1 and a constant over here. Everything has to be in its place. So remember this mnemonic that I wrote on the top over here? Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. That's the order in which you will do long division equations. How you can remember it is daddy, mommy, sister, brother. So x cubed divided by x will give you x squared. Write it in its correct position. So that's positive x squared. Then we're going to use the distributive law. Distributive law says we're going to take this number, multiply it by that number, and then multiply it by this number, which is minus 1. So x squared divided by, times x, because we're now multiplying, that's the second step, will give us x cubed. Write it in the correct position. Then x squared times minus 1 will give us minus x squared. Write it in the correct position. Next step, according to daddy, mommy, sister, brother, will be subtract. S for subtract. I write it in brackets to remind myself that I'm subtracting both terms. So x cubed minus x cubed is 0. Minus 2x squared minus x squared is just minus x squared. Then the next step is to bring down. So you bring down the minus 5x. And the whole process repeats itself again. Minus x squared divided by x is just minus x. Write it in the correct position. Minus x squared minus x times x is minus x squared. We're using the distributive law, so we know we can't forget about the minus 1. So minus x times minus 1 is just positive x. Then we're going to subtract the whole thing. Minus x squared minus x squared is 0. Minus 5x minus x is minus 6x. Carry or bring down the 6. And the whole process repeats itself again. Minus 6x divided by x will just be minus 6. Write it in the correct position. Minus 6 times x will be minus 6x. We're using the distributive law, so we know we can't forget about the minus 1. Minus 6 times minus 1 will be positive 6. Then we subtract the whole thing. Minus 6x minus 6x is 0. 6 minus 6 is 0. You have to get a remainder of 0 here. If you don't get a remainder of 0, I'm so sorry about those notifications. I really can't control them. But if you don't get a remainder of 0 over here, it means that the factor that you've used here is incorrect. So just be careful of that. So now we're going to take the equation that we worked out over here, x squared minus x minus 6, and we're going to factorize that trinomial. If you already know how to do that, just fast forward, but if not, I'm going to show you how. So I need to erase all of this to make space. Let's rewrite that. X squared minus x minus 6. That's what I got from here. Now, the first number here, or the first coefficient, is 1, and the last one is 6. Multiply those, and you'll get 6. What factors of 6, when added or subtracted, will give us the middle term, which is -1 in this case? So first, let's get the factors. It's 6 and 1, and it's 2 and 3, because 2 times 3 is 6. So now, when I add or subtract 2 and 3, how will I get -1? Because I just know there's no way I can add or subtract 6 and 1 to give me -1. So if I say -2 plus 3, it's just going to give me +1, which is not what I want. If I say -2 minus 3, I'm going to get -5, which is still not what I want. But if I say 2 plus 2 minus 3, then I'll get -1, and that's what I want. So instead of writing -1x, I'm now going to write plus 2x minus 3x minus 6. Then I'm going to take out what's common and do it in pairs. Take out what's common here. X is common. Now I'll be left with x plus 2. Then the second pair, minus 3x minus 6. What's common is minus 3. And I'll be left with x plus 2. I can't take out x plus 2 twice because it's common. So I'll be left with x plus 2, x minus 3. X minus 3. That's where that's coming from. But now we can't forget about the x minus 1, because that's also a factor. So let me just make some space. We'll now have x plus 2, x minus 3, x minus 1 is equal to 0. So x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0, or x minus 1 is equal to 0. Wait, let me write that neatly. Therefore, x is equal to -2, or x is equal to 3, or x is equal to 1. So what that means is when I substitute any of these three numbers in the place of x, either -2, 3, or 1, I'll get 0. So it satisfies the equation. Let's move on to the second example, which is slightly harder. Feel free to pause the video and try it on your own and see if you get the correct answer. So first things first is we're going to substitute a number in the place of x to give us 0. I've already done this example, so I know that 2 is a factor, and when I put 2 in the place of x, I get 0. So if you just want to double check that on your calculator, just key this in, and you'll find that you will get 0. So x is equal to 2 because we put 2 in the place of x, but we want it in the form is equal to 0. So I have to take this 2 to the other side, and I'll now have x minus 2 is equal to 0. And x minus 2 is what I'll be using in my long division equation. So I'm going to write x minus 2, write out the whole equation. The trick about this question is that you have to remember your placeholders. In the first one, we had x to the power of 3 plus x to the power of 2 plus x to the power of 1, and we had a constant. Here, there's no x to the power of 1, but you can't forget it, because placeholders are very important in long division. So we still have to write plus 0x plus 4. So let's begin. 3x cubed divided by x will be 3x squared. Write it in its correct position. Let me just write those. Okay, so it's just going to be 3x squared. 3x squared times x is going to be 3x cubed. 3x squared times minus 2 will be minus 6x squared, right in the correct position. Then we subtract the whole thing. If you get lost, just remember to look at this mnemonic. Divide, multiply, subtract, and bring down. That's the order in which you will do it. So 3x cubed minus 3x cubed is 0, minus 7x squared minus 6x squared is just going to be minus 7x squared plus 6x squared, which is minus x squared. Bring down, yes, you have to bring down the 0x. And the whole process repeats itself again. So minus x squared divided by x will simply be minus x. Minus x times x is minus x squared. Minus x times minus 2 is going to be plus 2x. Yeah. Then we're going to subtract the whole thing. Minus x squared minus x squared is 0. 0x minus 2x is just going to be minus 2x. Bring down the 4 and repeat the process again. Minus 2x divided by x is going to be minus 2. Minus 2 times x is minus 2x. Minus 2 times minus 2 is positive 4. Subtract the whole thing. Minus 2x minus 2x is 0. 4 minus 4 is 0, and you'll be left with a remainder of 0. If you do not have a remainder of 0, you've done something wrong there. So now we're going to take the answer we have here, and we're going to factorize it. So let's just make some space. X squared minus x minus 2. Take the first or the last number and the first coefficient, multiply them, you'll get 6. What factors of this number will give us the middle term when added or subtracted? So we have minus 1. There's no way we can add or subtract 1 and 6 in any way to give us minus 1. So we have to use the 2 and the 3. Now, minus 2 minus 3 is going to give us minus 5. Plus 2 plus 3 is going to give us positive 5. Minus 2 plus 3 is going to give us positive 1. So plus 2 minus 3 should give us positive 1. So now it's going to be 3x squared plus 2x minus 3x minus 2. Now I'm just going to rewrite that, because when we're taking things out as common, it would be easier if we had the 3's on one side and the 2's on the other side. So I'm just going to rewrite that, so that will be easier for me. Now we take out what's common. What's common here is 3x, so we'll be left with x minus 1. And what's common here is 2. So we'll be left with x minus 1 as well. Can't take out x minus 1 2 times because it's common. So we'll just be left with that. Now erase to make space. But we can't forget about, what was it? I think it was x minus 2. I'm so sure it was x minus 2. Yeah, I just double checked and it was x minus 2. X minus 1, 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So x minus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 1 is equal to 0, or 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to 2, or x is equal to 1, or x is equal to minus 2 over 3. And there you have it. Let us get into synthetic division. Okay, so I've worked on this example before. You know you need to use the trial and error method. See what number, when you substitute it in the place of x, will give you 0. In this example, I found that when you put 3 in the place of x, you get 0. But the difference between synthetic division and long division, well, one of the differences is in long division, if you, let's say, have x is equal to 3, you want to make it in the form x is equal to 0. or equal to 0. So you'll take whatever number you have to the other side and make it x minus 3 is equal to 0 and use this in your equation. With synthetic division, you don't do that. If you found out that 3 is a factor, you'll just use 3. You won't change it. You will have to change it when you write out the factors, but for now you won't. You'll just write it like that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the first number of every term. Here it's 1. Wait 1 second. Going to take the first number of every term. Here it's 1, here it's negative 2. Yes, the signs do matter. Here it's minus 5, and here it's 6. Just want to make sure there's enough space. There's not going to be enough space, but oh well. Okay, now you're going to bring down the first number. Put it there. That's the only time you bring down. In this whole thing, you only bring down one time. Then you're going to say this number times this number. That's going to give you 3. 1 times 3 is 3. And you're going to put it here. Then you're going to say minus 2 plus 3 is going to give you positive 1. Then you're going to say that number times 3 again is going to give you 3. We're going to put it here. Minus 5 plus 3 is going to be minus 2. Minus 2 times 3 is minus 6. You're going to put it here. 6 minus 6 is 0. So now you have 1, 1, negative 2. You're going to take these numbers and make them the coefficients in a trinomial form. So you have 1 here, so it's going to be 1x squared. You have 1 here, so it's going to be plus 1x. And you have 2 here, so that's just going to be a constant. And now you're going to factorize this trinomial. There's not going to be space. Why am I kidding myself? So you're going to have 1x squared plus 1x minus 2. 2 times 1 is 2. We don't look at the signs, so it's just going to be 2. What factors of 2? There's only 2 factors of 2. It's 2 and 1. So when we add or subtract 2 and 1, how will we get 1? It will simply be plus 2x minus 1x. I'm going to rewrite it so that the 1's on one side and the 2's on the other side. Then I'm going to take out what's common in each pair. Here 1x is common. I'll be left with x minus 1. Here 2 is common. And I'll be left with x minus 1. I can't take x minus 1 out twice. I'll just take it out one time. And then I'll be left with x plus 2. But I can't forget about the 3 over here that I worked out. But remember, we didn't make that in the form equal to 0. But now, eventually, when we write out all these brackets, we're going to say is equal to 0. So we can't leave it as that. Now we just have this 3 over here is basically saying x is equal to 3. But we can't leave it like that for our factors. So we now need to take it over to the other side and make it x minus 3 is equal to 0. Then we're going to use this and bring it down. So we're going to have x minus 3 equal to 0. Let me erase all of this to make space. So x minus 1 is equal to 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x minus 3 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is equal to 1, or x is equal to negative 2, or x is equal to 3.